Learn the Uni Knot. Learn the Uni Knot. Why? Why? Okay, so the Uni Knot is a brilliant all-round knot, and the Uni Knot is a 90% knot. It's easy to tie, and this will make a bit more sense in a minute. So I've just got the breaking strain of knots here in front of me, and I'm just going to read them out really quickly, and then we'll go through and explain how this pertains to flathead and flounder fishing. So I've got the risotto knot at 90 to 95%. Improved clinch knot is 85 to 90%. Uni knot is 85 to 90%. Blood knot is 70 to 80%. Some people say less, you know. Albright knot is 85 to 90%. Double uni knot is 80 to 90%. Dropper loop is 75 to 80%. There's different variables. It gets a bit more complex than that. But the Bimini twist is 90 to 100%, and the spider hitch is around about 80 to 90%. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is that when you're fishing, you know, some guys fish 4-pound braid to 4-pound leader. That can be nylon and carbon, and I might talk about that later, external to the flounder forum. But that in doing that, what happens is if you're fishing 4-pound line, 2 kilo in the metric, then if you get a 2 kilo flathead, you've met your line class, and that's when everything gets a bit tricky. And that's where the difference between tying a blood knot and a uni knot or an FG knot, which is up around about 90-95% as well. So that's where it makes a difference. You know, once your fish get bigger and you're fishing 4-pound line, once you've met line class, then you're into the bigger stuff. We've got game fishermen that game fishermen are chasing stick face fish with 2 kilo pre-test, and dolphin fish, all those game species, and what they're doing is they're not just meeting line class, they're going way above line class, and that's how there's a formula to ascertain the amount of points they're going to get. And game fishermen are weirdos. They're more weird than fly fishermen, and I might explain that in a little bit as well. So if you're if you're fishing for flathead and flounder, try to use the knots like an FG knot to tie your double, and your line to leader, and your uni knot to your lures, so that if you're fishing say a 2 kilo leader and you get a 2 kilo flathead, then obviously you stand a much better chance of actually getting that fish, and you might hook a kinder surprise like a mulloway or big tail or something while you're fishing for flathead. And mulloway have gill rakers. I fished about an 8-pound trace leader for flathead and flounder for that reason, because mulloway have got gill rakers, flounder have got gill rakers as well, and if they head into the barnacles, it's at that point when you lose. It's the big fish that matter, and if they head into the barnacles or something and you lose that big fish, you just you're devo. So getting back to the game fishermen, game fishermen being weird and everything, in game fishermen, they fish pretested line. If they're fishing 2 kilo pretest, it's tested to break under 2 kilo. You get the old fire line, 2 kilo fire line. You're up around 2 kilo fire line is 4 kilo breaking strain. So game fishermen trying to claim records, and they're if they catch a fish, straight away it goes off for testing, certified scales, off to a testing machine, break it, check the knots. You send in your leader and your line as one section, and they test it to make sure that if you're going to claim a record in the line class, that you're actually broke under, you were fishing the right line, not just going, oh, well, I've, caught on 4 pound braid or fire line, and you're really fishing 4 kilo line. Game fishermen will go to the lengths of going tackle shop to tackle shop in search of the freshest pre-test nylon they can find. So, all of a sudden you've got these, there's a game comp on when all these boys coming in and they're fidgeting, going through the monofilament, checking the best buy dates, etc., to find the freshest line, because nylon's impacted by UV. I think Hal Harvey left a piece of braid on the roof of his shop for 12 months, and they took it down and tested it. It broke at the same breaking strain 12 months later after sitting on the roof of his shop, which is a harsh environment. So what I'm going to do is I watched all the videos and a while ago, and I was having a crack at the FG knot, and I thought I couldn't get used to the elbows and wrapping it around your toe and forming the triangle, etc. So I had a crack at just tying it in a simple way and wrapping it, and I'll show you now really quick, because I'm trying to get through this and keep this video that pertains to flathead and flounder and not buoys all to death. So to start the FG, what I do is wrap it. The start is important. So you just do 2 wraps like that, pull it up, right, bang, and then you can start wrapping. You can start wrapping in your fingers, right? So the risotto knot, I'm not going full Hodgie. Hodgie uses a risotto knot, and that's great. If I wasn't fishing for flathead, I was going out fishing for something a bit bigger, whatever, I will probably finish off with a risotto, because Jim Risotto, he created the risotto knot. He's a rider, an angler in the US, game fisherman. The risotto is commonly used for rod building. I had a bit of experience with that when in Roenfeld's shop when I was a kid. And don't ever play pool against Mike Roenfeld, or play darts with Mike Roenfeld, because he's a shark. The risotto is good. Originally I tried to tie a knot, because all the other knots, you double over the mono, and all of a sudden the knot's twice as big as what it should be, and we're all looking for this holy grail. And the FG knots basically brought us that. Originally on the Western Angler Forum, I tried to create something like that, just pure risotto, but I couldn't make that happen. And then, I think about 18 months later, a Japanese guy actually come up with this, and it's brilliant. So what I've done is about 20 wraps, something like that. And with braid, you want to do lots of wraps. Nylon less so. This probably has a lot to do with the nylon being thicker diameter, and there's a lot more friction, that sort of thing. And so what I've done is I've wrapped it. There are 20 wraps, and then what I do is I just do a half hitch around the end. Oh, I'm trying to do this, my best camera work. Right, so I've done half hitch. Pull it down with your toe. Right, and then what you want is always use saliva when you're tying knots. Carbon's really bad. It burns really easy. I learnt that in the UK when it first came out, and I was on holiday trout fishing, and lots of stuff was going bang bang. So do that, right? Transparent. You try and make it transparent. I've only done 1/2 inch, but you've seen I've just wrapped it up in front of you without going to all the complexities. And then I'm going to just tie another 2 1/2 inches. Braid seems weird like that. You couldn't do this with mono 1/2 inches. People do all sorts of things with braid. It's amazing how it's, it's changed. Oddly enough, I remember buying spider wire, and it had only just came out, and I went out on a charter boat, and no one had seen it or anything, and I was fishing in 90 meters of water, and my rod just went bang bang, and I was like, what the hell is this? I wound it in, and it was a flathead. I caught a flathead, and I rang my friend Gary and said, I've just caught a flathead in 90 metres in it. I can feel everything. And then I went up to the skipper and said, hey, mate, you're on the sand, because you can actually feel so much with braid. It's ridiculous. So when you've tied your knots, you've got to get that up into focus. Right. Pull her up, try and get it up. Through. And test your knots. So that's the FG knot. Try to go beyond the blood knot, which is about, some say only about 50%. 50, I'll try and cut the tags off so that, and practice the uni. Uni you can do back-to-back uni. It's good in the dark, when you're like me and you're a bit blind at my age. As you can see, I can test that, right? And that's the FG knot. I've just tied it without elbows and all the other things. I might just do another separate video and elaborate on drags, game fishermen, weirds, what sort of drag settings they use, and the testing they do with everything before they do, because they're pre-test line fishing for line classes 2, 4 kilo, 6 kilo, just goes up. Learn the uni knot. When you're fishing for flounder, they've sort of got gill rakers. They've got the spurs on the side too. Watch out for them. And I use about an 8 pound leader for my lures. And probably go 6 pound, but I fish 8 in case you get that Kinder Surprise, which is the big mulloway tailor salmon in the river. There's definitely smaller salmon get into the river. Salmon trout we call them. Up around the Swan Yacht Club, and even further at times. So you do get bigger fish come in, and if you got that 8 pound and the fish heads for the pylons, you got a chance. Learn the uni knot. Learn the uni knot.